I heard my stepson whisper my name when he thought I couldn't hear him, and something in the way he said it told me we needed to slip away quietly and fast. It had been a long day, one of those where everything feels just a little off, the kind of day where you start noticing things you'd normally ignore. We were at the cabin, my husband, his son from a previous marriage, and me, a weekend retreat. Peace, quiet, no phone service. At least that was the idea. I was in the kitchen, cleaning up after dinner, the smell of pine wood thick in the air, when I heard my name, not spoken loudly, not even called out, but whispered almost like a secret, like something not meant to be shared. I froze, dishes in my hands. Breath caught, it was his voice, my stepson, and he wasn't. Alone, I stepped closer to the door, careful not to make a sound. His voice drifted from the other side, hushed and low, like he didn't want anyone to hear. She's not like I thought she'd be, he said. Then a pause. It's getting harder to pretend. I felt my stomach. Flip was talking about me. And if so, what was her pretending? I wasn't supposed to be eavesdropping, but I couldn't stop. Another voice, one I couldn't place, responded muffled. Serious? I heard my stepson sigh, like something was weighing on him. She doesn't see it yet, he said, but I think she's starting to feel it. My heart started racing. I backed away, slowly, the floorboard betraying me with a faint creak. I didn't wait to hear more. I just knew I had to get out of that hallway fast, before they knew I'd heard. Back in the kitchen, I tried to look normal, like I hadn't just caught a sliver of something I couldn't explain. Later that evening, we all sat together in the living room. The fire crackled, the room glowed softly, and Noon said anything too strange. My husband had gone to bed, early, exhausted from the long drive that left the two of us, me and my stepson, alone by the fire. And that's when I felt it, that tension, not awkward exactly, but something that didn't belong. He didn't look at me the way a stepson should. There was a kind of awareness in his eyes, quiet and careful. I avoided his gaze, tried to focus on the flames, but I could feel it. He was watching. Then he spoke. You looked like you wanted to say something earlier, he said. I looked over, startled, unsure how to answer when I asked. Even though I knew exactly what he meant, he gave a small shrug when I passed you in the hallway. So he knew. I studied him for a second, trying to find the right words, but nothing came, so I just nodded. I thought I heard something. I said nothing important. He looked at me for a long moment. Not everything we whisper is a secret, he said softly. Sometimes we're just trying to figure out if we're the only ones feeling something. I didn't know what he meant, not fully. Or maybe I did, and I just didn't want to admit it. The next morning felt different. He was quiet, distant, like something had changed, like something had been exposed. We made small talk over coffee. My husband was still asleep upstairs, snoring lightly. I watched the steam rise from my mug and tried not to think too hard. Then he leaned in, his voice barely above a breath. Do you trust me? I blinked. What kind of question is that? He didn't smile. A serious one. I nodded slowly. I think so. Then come with me, just for a minute. Hesitated. Everything in me said I should say no, but I stood anyway. We stepped out onto the porch. The morning air was cool, damp with fog. He led me away from the cabin, down a worn path behind the woodshed. Not far, just out of sight. I looked back once, but the house had already disappeared behind the trees. He stopped near a fallen log, turned to face me and said, You weren't supposed to hear what I said yesterday, but since you did, you should know I meant it. I swallowed hard. What did you mean by it? That I don't know how to act around you anymore. Because every time you're near, I forget where thalines are supposed to be. The world felt too quiet. I looked away, heart pounding. That's not something you should say. He nodded. I know, but it's the truth. We stood there in silence, the woods, holding their breath around us somewhere. In the distance, a bird called once and went quiet. Then he added, I didn't plan this. I just started noticing things. The way you notice me, even when you think you're not. I shook my head. We can't do this, I'm not asking you to, he said, his voice steady. I just needed you to know. I turned to walk back toward the cabin, my thoughts spinning, but then I heard a crack behind us, a sharp snap like someone stepping on a branch. We froze. Did you hear that? I whispered. He nodded. Eyes scanning the woods, someone else was out there. And suddenly, I knew we weren't supposed to be seen together. Not here, not like this.